although I do want to show competence, but I want the point of it to be browsing through new ideas on the skateboard. And that's not limited to just the combat of the spots, which is jumping down handrails or do tricks on ledge. It's also coming up with different styles of ideas and types of skaters, and narrowing down personality types of skateboarders, or different approaches in skateboarding, or relating it to psychology, or relating it to philosophy.
I suffer from the fear of missing out. I could have been in the skate park, however I am in the apartment. The opportunity cost for laying in bed, eating ice cream and reflecting is a couple of indoor skate park clips. What to capture? Skateboarding or the psyche?
Følg deg selv, vær deg selv.
Jeg tror det beste er å prøve å jobbe med å gjenskape andre. Det er en fase. Du lærer deg å gjøre det de gjør, og prøve å forstå. Da trenger du ikke forstå teorien bak. Samme som du ser noen gjøre trickflip, og så prøver du bare å lære.
Jo, ikke sant? Ja, på skating er det samme greia. Du bare kopierer andre, og så finner du din egen stil etter.
Du trenger ikke å vite, og så vrir jeg foten sånn, og så flikker jeg ut. Du trenger ikke å vite det for å gjøre en trick.
Trends are not bad in themselves. They simply make you like the herd, and being like the herd is not bad if the herd is good. If the herd is boring, then following the herd makes you boring. We have no complete trends, whiteboard trends, energy drink trends, colorful grip trends, old school board shape trends, camo clothing, NASA brand clothing. It's not individualistic. You're then following the stream or following the herd. Skateboarding is closely related to freedom. You have the freedom to follow trends, but you are not following your own mind when you follow trends. Then you are following an external entity instead of your internal rational mind, or presumably rational. Freedom allows you to choose not to be free. That's very important. This is why banning hijabs is against freedom, because if you want to be suppressed, you can decide to be so. We can think we are making the decision to follow a trend because it comes from our own preference, but preferences, they are guided by social hierarchy and instinctive desires. These desires are battling with your rational mind, which is the strongest ability we have to make free decisions. This separates the body from the mind. The body is in a sense not us in the same way a mountain is not us. If we say that our bodies are us, then we can't distinguish why a mountain is not us or why our skateboard is not us.
Netflix and chilled.
If somebody hurts our body, we feel the pain. If somebody breaks our skateboard, we feel the pain in a different way. If someone broke a skateboard that we didn't know that we owned and has never seen, we wouldn't feel the pain. But we can't say something is ours on the basis that we have feelings attached to it. We have the right not to get our property unconsensually stepped on. Our body is property, our skateboard is property, therefore they can't be unconsensually stepped on, even though we don't have any feelings attached to it.
Skate to be healthy to function, function to fulfill your purpose. Your purpose is to have healthy kids require healthy girl seek a healthy man.
Think about femininity, it's what tames masculinity. Guys are violent and angry and ruining everything, and then femininity comes along and say, get your act together. We try to keep our masculinity intact by not violating the personal space of other people. Or masculine people go beat other people up, or take other people's things, or murder someone, or whatever. And then when femininity comes in there saying, hey, you can't do this, and masculinity has to obey femininity. That's very important. Like, masculinity has all the force, but femininity, the actual power, is at least guiding the masculinity. Kids are there and they wanna have fun, and then you yell and you scare them off. And it might be a guy saying this, who's like a male feminist or something like this. But actually, you're stepping onto the healthy and necessary parts of masculinity. This is how masculinity can express itself without being super violent. It's better for us to destruct our skateboard than to destruct other people. And it's going to create resentment and anger and conflict because it's two different cultures basically, but they can find a balance. The problem with femininity is that it's not competitive. When in California, the prize awards has to be made much more equal among girl and guy skaters. That means the government will ban street league if they don't have specific prizes that activists have decided. The ones who get watched the most generate the most money for the contest. It would be ludicrous for me to make the government force you to pay for this documentary just because it is not naturally generating money. And by the way, one of the first principles of skating is don't tell us what to do. You can join us, doesn't matter who you are or what you look like, just as long as you abide to the basic principles of skating. The most fundamental one I'd say is freedom. And that means you let us compete, you let us act as we are, we're not aggressing upon other people, we're not hurting anyone. These are all voluntary activities. Then when you then take the government into this, which is by nature a force, and then femininity joins the government and they cooperate against the freedom of skating, you're taking away the most basic value that skateboarding has. The tribe says don't talk about this.
See that over there? That's a man without excuses.
Most books are similar, same with movies. They have a structure easily recognized and that's safe, and you're less likely to fail making that than if you experiment with the structure. There's no risk in it, but you're good at experimenting. So the most effective thing would be you to be experimenting and the effective people to be effective. It's nice to know what position you are in. I don't see the point of going to a skate park and using time on filming a skater who's doing exactly the same trick that a guy in America, Europe, or anywhere in the West is doing. They haven't seen enough tree flips. Alright, so acting works in this way. Some creative person is coming up with concepts and ideas, and then you get someone who is not creative but very good at expressing existing ideas. And in the same way, skateboarding, one guy is inventing an idea, a concept, or a line, or something, a trick, then a lot of actors is replicating that. You go straight on the pogo, on top of the ledge, and you somehow make it slide. Maybe you can't really put your whole weight there or something like that. It will be hard, so you just kind of kiss the rail with the pogo. I come up with that idea, and then some actor, it could be me, it could be someone else, is acting it out. They can claim a certain amount of ownership to it, even though they didn't invent the idea, they just acted out the trick.
Wow!
Имаш избор.
Gospodine Mickovski, što pravite vi ovdje?
Ja filmer til NRK. Kanskje Oscar. Oh! Wow, norgesmessig skutt.
Han er i hvert fall veldig god.
Så han kan taile ut, kanskje?
Ja, det kan han.
Ja, fett. Kan du noen ting som helst på denne kule greia? Jeg vet ikke, tail whip, eller kanskje flamingo, eller LGBTQT flip.
Someone who you can tell, hey, try this, and they have never tried it before, but they do it and they land it very quickly. That's the sign of a good skater, someone who has incorporated skateboarding into their being and are able to learn new things very easily.
Nei, jeg vet ikke, altså jeg bare drev med fotball først, og så synes vi at det var skilt å drive med trening og ha en sånn kar som sier hva du skal gjøre, så vi begynte å skate I stedet for, altså. Jeg bare digger det, altså.
Before skaters were taught to be punks, skaters became some kind of Bamajera type of person, and now it's turning into an athlete. I say that to skaters, that they had a very different impression from skaters, and then when they talk to them, they change their perception, and they didn't put a lot of value into their belief of how skaters are, because it was an important thing in their life how skaters are. So if you're an atheist and you're like, no, God is not real and morals doesn't exist, and you find out, oh, God is real and morals do exist, if you're wrong about that, the consequences are huge.
For me, like playing demo skate, it ain't a point about like winning, it's a point about like learning a trick that you don't know.
Sure.
By repeatedly playing with someone.
Yeah.
All right, one trick, one try. And even if you land or you didn't land, you know, the other guy's trying the next trick. Big fuck you to those guys who are like, I want to win, man. You know, fuck you and your fucking, you know, zillion pressure flips and shit like that. Let's give each other some tricks that, you know, like, it's gonna push us, you know.
I mean, you could agree on this beforehand. Also that, all right, now we are trying to get each other out. The fun part of this is we're trying to remove the other person. Or we could have, okay, now we're gonna have a learning round. But if you don't make clear the rules and you do only weird tricks, you come off as a little douchebag.
It's about progress with that shit. Like, biggest thing for me now, it's a warm-up trick.
And then the skateboard personality is somebody who learns to tackle pain and have a physical awareness, more interested in doing rather than theorizing. Stanley Kubrick is one of these type. He said something very representative of his type. When people have done great work, the work will speak for itself. It doesn't really matter what you have to say about it. It's when you ask the why questions to them, they can easily get bothered. How can we connect this to the bigger picture of things? What does this say about humanity? No, none of that. Just go out and skate and have fun doing so. If you begin talking about the bigger picture, as you call it, then you're just avoiding skating. You're just avoiding the actual thing you're doing. It's right there in front of you. Go do that. There can be a lot of novelty in children's thoughts before they are infected with this low self-esteem type of thinking, where you don't dare to bring out your own ideas. And the trick is inspired by a Norwegian fairy tale called Askeladden. The youngest of three brothers, and not a lot were expected of him. During trips on his path, he picked up random stuff. You never know when you're gonna get used for it.
Man, hvis du ikke depper sånn, bare fest en gang iblant på fest. Ikke begynn å ta det for å... Når du har en dårlig dag...
Jeg har grenser. Skateboarders are capable of more than they think. Isn't it more perfect if you can skate any board ever? And then, is your life more perfect in a world where you have the perfect board and require a perfect board? Or is your life more perfect when you're able to adapt to any board and you don't need your board to be perfect?
Man, jeg har ikke tenkt å ta penger fra deg for en joint. Bro. Nei, men jeg har tiden på hvem som gir det folk.
What is enjoyable and keeps us thirsty for more is that we are not delivered all the answers. If somebody would give us a complete understanding of the universe, we as humans would be satisfied. The process of finding food, preparing it and eating it is the good part. Being done eating is boring. Then there's nothing to do. The drive to get something is the point. Accordingly, finding the meaning of life is not the point. The point is to search for it. We might find out it's meaningless or meaningful, or we won't find out either of those. The question is, can you accept those three scenarios?
Alle dyr blir født smartere enn mennesker I forhold til årene. Bare når de baby, ikke sant?
Skateboarders are trying to avoid being freestyle dancers, and inliners try to avoid being roller skater dancers. That could prevent inliners from not skating ledge in that fancy, fruitful ballerina type of way.
Så jeg har søsket masse I fengsel. Som I Oslo, det er masse gjenger her. Det sånn bortsomt dritunger. Men alle går med kniv. For du vet, nordmenn litt rett for somalier her I Oslo.
Men så når han tar sånn, han skater jo, han railer jo jævlig mye på trær.
Spilte du Tarzan på PSN?
Ja, jeg gjorde det. Og han en type skater, bare uten brettet, bare med føtter.
Jeg spilte Tarzan også.
Og det jo skating, han kjører jo goofy og hopper over til regular og tar masse sånne kule triks. Det sånne triks jeg vil gjøre på skateboard.
Det kult du her, ass.
Ja, faen, altså.
Jeg begynte å lure på noe aldri skulle skje. Det godtatt av samfunnet, så det sunt.
Hvis du spiser det riktig mat, så vil kroppen gå tilbake til sin naturlige tilstand, og den vil hele seg.
Vi følte hverandre på YouTube for lenge siden.
Ja, men hun slutta
å skate her.
Ja, hun drev porn, synes.
Remixing existing things is where the creativity is. It's seeing the connection between different things. And I think that's creativity, not inventing completely new stuff, because every idea is a sum of some other ideas.
It doesn't matter where or when or who. What matters is the subject itself.
Foreldrene dine virker sånn som foreldrene mine.
Ja, det kult da.
Ja, det bra.
Men du nordlending, det så lett å bli kjent med deg. Jeg tror jeg fant litt mer av meg selv når jeg dro til nord. Jeg var fremme på der, så var det greit. Når jeg fremme på her, så det liksom, du får høre tilbake snakker litt på. Det helt utrolig at mobilen klarer å ta opp hva som skjer her. Det var bordell der, og når Asian kom, så ble det skyting fra vinduet mot politi. Ja, masse hvitevasking og liksom brukt butikk. Hvitevasking i en brukt butikk, det er jo dum.
Hva med hvitevasking i en fastmaskin i en flastøymaskinbutikk?
Åh.
Hvitvasking.
No more training, you're done. To do train travel gives me a moment to absorb and plan the hunt. It gives me time for reflection, something that is lost or superficialized if done while on the hunt, inside of the fight. Your home or your hiding area is also a reflection and planning space. The difference is that the train and car and boat and plane is a physical sign that you're entering the next chapter. I quit skateboarding to do drugs, and then I started skateboarding again, and it saved my life. And these stories, I mean, that's pretty common. There's something with skateboarding, but the effect of it is that you are in good health because you enjoy the sport so much. Alex hasn't skated in years, and he knows how to do a switch street flip now. So you can put out your computer for 10 years, and then you put it back up, and once it's going, it's going. What does error of harmony mean? Do you know that?
Something glitch out of something perfect. I mean, we talked one time about it when baked, man. Too fucking baked. I'm not sure what kind of information I received or given. Say hello, I'm Nicola, bitch, and I'm born in Belgrade, USA. Well, because I think that we're already a fucking colony of the United States.
The skateboard lifestyle is characterized by living in a weird place in a flat with friends, taking every day by day, not having a long-term plan and these kind of things, and living on just enough to get by. Skateboarders who act like children are doing the right thing. It can be bad when you're immature, and doing tricks on the skateboards is not immature, at least not in itself. But if you let that lead you out of a career that you don't have anything else in your life, that you sacrifice everything in order to skate, pretty immature. If you have it instead of going to the gym, that's just as immature as going to the gym, except you're a little more artistic and you focus on style. Det ikke rart at folk som kler seg så kjedelig som mulig kan være så interessante folk.
The guy with the fucking army hat, you see that guy over there? He was supposed to skate for Circa, but it was at the time when the Balkan Wars were here, and they were like, you skate good shit, you know, one of the best we saw from Europe, man, but we don't want anyone from Serbia. They fucking robbed him of his future, man. The whole fucking bullshit that happened. I can fucking get the guy why he's fucking angry, man. And he was really one of the best. Dude, like, he was like a few years ago when he was 40. Like a double set in skate park, a handrail, front and nose bump, like few tries. Yeah, been like 40 fucking years. Fucking nose bunting a handrail. You don't see pros do that in 40. Everybody has a role in this. It's all a fucking big play, you know? You know, everybody's radical. Nobody asks you if you want to play your role, you're going to play it, man. And they're all just playing a role of, you know, making normal people fucking angry about something.
Så jeg ikke lander nå. Overfører 500 til deg, 500 til Redd Barna.
Wow, det mye. What? Redd Barna, 500 kroner fattigere. Every time I do a crooked grind, I think well, what's the point of doing this? Well, you're doing this for practice. You're supposed to use this knowledge in order to create your own creative trick. That's why you do it. In order to maybe do a ollie north crooked grind into a sex change to a dark slide hippie jump, dark roll into another dark slide to fake. I don't see the point of doing it for the purpose in itself. But then that leaves us why keep on living? Why keep on existing? I mean, what's the goal of this? What will we use life for when life, or if life, ends? The challenges of scootering as an activity is that they are acting like enemies to each other.
They are so Ali Bilala's Instagram. That's so fucking sad.
Like drinking and driving is very cool when you're in the moment, but all the time except for when you're in the moment, it's very sad.
Yeah.
And there's certain things to live through during certain ages. During your 10s, 10 to 20. Best friends, crew, team sport, following external systems, girlfriend, kissing, finding your dream hobby. Any 20s, sexy stuff, heartbreak, traveling far, doing what you won't be able to or excited about later, earning enough to survive but loving what you're doing, being in charge of something. And then your 30s, that's raising kids, establishing a community, earning 3 times as much as you rent. It's a quick guideline to living without losing essential experience. I want to avoid regretting and avoiding it by doing as much as I can possibly do. The problem is, no matter how much I do or how strongly I experience something, there's always something more I should have done. Another trick to film, another person to get in touch with. If I experience something, I see how the experience could be better, greater, and more fulfilling. It's a useful skill for progress, but makes me feel unactualized. We used to skate every day during the summer. Very good spots. The reason we don't like it is because it stays the same. When seeing a skateboard trick, the story in that trick is that society has reached the point where someone can be free enough to gain competence in the field of their choosing.
Alla de som inte har råd att resa runt till massa coola spots, de ska ha en massa coola spots här.
Jättebra, det här är min favoritpark tror jag.
Kul här. Det är ju som alla skateparker, vet att de vuxna tar lite hand om de yngre och så. Spikeåkarna har bråkat lite med varandra.
Skarpnäck is not a normal DIY, it's a pretty creative spot. You would think then that the skating there would also become more playful. But turns out no, the skaters there are skating exactly the same way they would do in any other park. Even though you change the environment doesn't mean that the skater will change their behavior. The normal flow of skateboarding is ruling, so tradition is actually very, very strong in skateboarding.
Jag såg en fyr så han gjør en ollie på 50 meter. Ja, du kan gjøre hva som helst.
Vet du hvilken scenario jeg kan se for meg? Han drar til månen.
Ja.
Han drar til månen og gjør det. Da kan han hoppe 100 meter.
Du så det i månlandere når de hopper. De hopper så går det ned. Men de kan ikke hoppe veldig.
De kan hoppe jævlig høyt. Og hvis du får fart fra en rampe.
Det er gravitet i månen.
Ja, men det er 6 ganger så lite som på jorda.
Blir ikke det bare 6 meter?
Jo, hvis du kan hoppe 1 meter.
Weed er greit å bli energisk, men ikke hasj. Da blir det sånn, nå koker meg og krikken. Gutta, skal vi ta en game of skate, eller med bare S?
Det er alltid kult med nye skatere. Hadde du spurt meg, kunne vi hatt litt mindre bowl.
Kanskje kommunefolk tenker de skater på, de vil ha sånn bowl og masse rampe og sånn. Ja. Den her er nice da.
Ja, det er jævlig nice, men bare at 90% av folk bruker som benk.
Eller putte sånn her hundeskitt hele tiden. Sånn her falsk hundeskitt. Det vil ikke sitte her.
Du kan skaffe sånn wax som lukter hundebæsj.
Wow! Du har ikke skatet på 7 år kanskje? 9 år, 10 år?
Men hva heter den?
Гледате?
When you're in the skateboard scene, then I find the easiest thing is finding one cool idea to work on, and then I change it as I go along to find something that is creative that you can also perform. That's the hard part. I guess the more skilled you are, the easier that becomes. When you build that competence, another trouble comes. You will think, oh no, this trick is too easy. Can you show something very interesting that is not at the same level as my competence? Free ride hand plant to a primal, I've never seen it done, it's kind of creative. So how can you improve that? Wall ride hand plants into a Tarzan spin around the tree somehow, and then you do a primo. That could be improving their creativity and difficulty.
Hvor faen ble det snusen din?
I'm not really like creative skater.
No, I really like it. It's for fun. 360 flip lip slide is fun. I can try this full day and not even land it, but for me it's still fun. If I try some things, it will take me fucking full day on one trick. Some people land this fucking every try.
It's easier to follow the stream of the skate park. It's possible to go against the stream while it requires more effort. It means doing fancy tricks, jumping up the stairs instead of down, and going where nobody else is going and interrupting the whole flow of it. Creativity in skateboarding is easier when you're alone for this reason, because the stream is weaker. When Davon Song started skating alone, he became way more creative and inventive. He wasn't directly bothered by the outside influences of contemporary skating of his time anymore. It can be because skateboarding is an action sport and is way easier to do if you simply do established tricks. Then you can start doing the actual skating straight away instead of having to think up something new to do. If you want to be creative, you have to put thought into what you're doing. That requires stepping back and thinking about the spot and finding new connections that hasn't been observed yet, and that is hard. What comes in the way of finding those connections are pressure to act from others. It's considered the rules of skateboard tricks to pop the board down and then move it up in the air and ruin your shoes during the whole process. We are forgetting that this is just one way of doing a trick. Early grabs, toe lifts, trampolines, catapults, dark slide holds are all effective ways of doing tricks, and also not as common as the shoe tearing technique, which would be your ollies and kickflips and flips. The problem with the new way is that it's uncomparable to the existing metrics of competence. Early grabs might be difficult, but it's not the same competition that Luan Oliveira is playing. The shoe tearing people are in the shoe tearing competition and can easily give as much value to early grabs and toe lifting tricks as they do to tennis, because it's just a very different league, a very strange dialect to them. We're just doing the same language in different ways. Talking out my thoughts is my tricks, and a skateboard trick is a thought put into action. So instead of putting something into action, I put it into words, and maybe not the best thought, but it was first try. An idea for a skate short film. People are skating very creatively, doing their own tricks, being very unique on the outside of a grind box. And they hear some sounds, see some shadows coming from inside of the box. And they go and investigate, go inside of the grind box and find out, wow, there's a crazy pool party with amazing people who are doing everything of their dreams, living a really happy life. Plato's Cave. Så I skateparken så fikk vi ikke til å filme en skit, altså det kom ingen ideer eller for passende til skating. Nå så gikk vi over på andre siden av gata, og her er lekeparken. Med en gang så fart vi dansen.
Jeg var ikke så imponert over parten hans, for at han legger ut klipp ellers som bedre enn parten han har i Bacon 4. Lage en part, og så skal man ikke være helt fornøyd med. Så skal du gjøre en bedre neste gang, steppe opp. Selv om det er dritbra part, så det om å gjøre neste bedre da.
Du vil aldri komme til det siste nivået?
Nei, det stopper aldri i skating. Aldri.
Han Todd Falcon sa han kom til det siste nivået, men jeg tror han kan gå lenger. For example, when you saw people do kickflip and you tried the first time, and then you saw, wow, we'll never be able to do that, that's impossible. And then suddenly, a year after, maybe 2 years, then wow, I can do a kickflip. So you did something that you previously thought were impossible. We find it silly when somebody says that won't work. It's more probable to work the more time you use where you're starting a business, you try to start 100 different businesses, nothing works, and then suddenly you have one, and then boom.
Du gir deg midt I lufta. Om du gir deg når du detter, I stedet for at du gir deg før du detter. Ja, faen, han ivrig, ja.
Ja. Så hvis jeg står rett ved siden av han, så drar du på han I rene.
Ja.
Jeg gjør ingenting, jeg tar ikke på han.
Ja, ok, og han bare får det til.
Men jeg borte. Altså, hvis jeg ikke der, eller hvis jeg ikke tilgjengelig, så jeg tør ikke å gå opp
Jeg skal finne på ting.
Skateoppfinner? Dæven, det kan bli fett. Og så kan det være sånn for proffe skatere, ja, kan du prøve det her trikset? Jeg fant opp en ny variasjon, jeg kommer til å få masse poeng, masse penger.
Altså, kan jeg bare kjøpe for et skuttekonkurranse?
Ja, det var hyggelig.
Ses faktisk noen dag.
Ja, må du bli skateoppfinner da? The case for normal skateboarding. Alright, believe it or not, following established tricks makes you have a sleeve full of tricks at all times without having to stop and think of what to do next. So, doing normal tricks makes you able to compete in a game of skate with others with creative tricks. You are ruining the social harmony of the competitive game. Normal tricks are comparable between skaters. Who did a trick the highest, longest and quickest? New tricks can't be compared fairly to other tricks. Normal tricks doesn't get in the way of the flow of a spot because you know you are skating the ledge, you're not jumping sideways on the stair or rolling around on the ground. It's hard to remember your route or even understand what you're trying, and then hard to not be in your way, so it's very problematic. Is that you can be separated from the community. You are fundamentally different and not doing the same sport as the others. You are competing in different games. The underground is the basement level, under the mainstream. This is Sigmund Freud's ground. We are gonna explore that and then dig ourselves even more underground to the Carl Jung ground, so deep our egos are not consciously there. The music and the skating and the spots and filming can be arranged to make the most fruitful combo of movie making. If one of those are unsynchronized with the others, the whole project sinks. In a completely harmonic room with the most exciting wall decorations and freshest air, one bastard of a fly can be so tiny and still ruin all the other parts. Få ta på den snøden av Khalifa. Så var det ikke. Nei, faen, jeg skal ta på den på tirsdag.
Ja, men Lars, du skater jo hele tiden. Du var jo I skateparken hele dagen, og så dro du hjem, og så var jeg ute sånn til natten og sånn, og så begynte jeg å gå hjem, og så jeg der og Holt sto og skatet flat.
Visiting Lars, I noticed a lot of similarities between us. For example, he lives in his old grandmother's house, right next to the property of his parents. And as a kid, he enjoys holidays in the sun in Spain. And he actually went to exactly the same skate shop as I did in Mallorca. And he has an older brother who lives at home, a half-sister with her own family, which is much older than the two of them, just like me. And also, his city, it has something like 20,000 people there, just like my city. And he lives right over the bridge, on the other side, just like I do. They usually call it the wrong side of the bridge, but whatever.
Hvorfor? Ja, det var gøy. Noen kommer til å lese bok eller game, noen skater. Det blir litt som å game, sånn, ja.
Man kan nå sprang begge veier ganske bra.
Jeg har egentlig ikke skatet så mange år da. Sluttet da jeg var sånn 15, som fotball eller håndball som heter.
Det her det bare rådmiljø. Ville sette meg inn I det, men jeg var ikke interessert I det. Så du brukte å skate før?
Den gangen så var det for det første ulovlig. Nå reiste vi til Sverige og kjøpte skateboard.
Begynner å bli gammel, ja, så jeg har drivet med graffiti siden 1984, så jeg har skatet siden 1986.
Oi.
Det ikke så hopp som skating for tiden, det mest sånn sparksykkel.
Osje garasje.
Yeah. Last time when we've been, they really started to kick us out like hard, and police was coming a few times. That never happened before.
Du møter ofte som Didrik Alasso, Mikael Sommer, Herman Stene.
Hvor er du fra?
Fra Narvik.
Fra Narvik, ja.
Og du er herfra?
Jeg er fra Oslo.
Ikke sant, de slipper å dra på treningssenter for å holde seg i form. Det kommer helt naturlig.
I mean, there's too many bad skaters. We need to bring the best skaters down to equalize it. If one could make wheels with a very little sound and still being slippery, a lot less kickouts will occur.
Det kan være litt kult med step-up. Man skater jo ikke når man springer. Jo mer man springer, jo mindre skater man, kan man si.
Når du bruker hånda flytter, så blir det skate. Som Mike Wally.
De synes jeg er grei, men det er fordi de gjør kanskje 1 eller 2 step-up. Hvis det blir mer, det er kanskje 4 steg, og det blir så lite skating i det.
My style is largely influenced by Japanese Go Miyagi and Chopper. They taught me flow and character on the skateboard. Ignorance to that heritage would be forgetting about Japanese culture and presenting myself as a completely westernized individual.
Ja, det underholdning å komme til skateparken. Altså, vi sitter her, ikke sant, som noen oldis her, og dere ser på sånn fitte helvete. Hva gjør disse gamle folka her?
Has glasses? Because I remember there was a guy from Skopje. He ended up in the barracks, dark slides and flip outs and shit like that. You can't even pronounce what the fuck. Yeah, some crazy Macedonian fuck.
At jeg begynner litt på dokumentaren med der, og så spør jeg disse ungene, hva fikk deg til å begynne med BMX, så liksom...
Ja, har du en beskjed du har lyst til å fortelle?
Jeg vil bare fortelle at BMX er kult. Hvor mange skater kontra BMX og sparkesykkel da?
Det er sånn, jeg må jo først få økonomien på plass på alt det regnet går, og så kan jeg liksom begynne å sparke seg racing.
Men du kunne tatt bilen og bare kjørt, og sovet i bilen, spise en Coop Extra.
Ja, men jeg skjønner ikke hvorfor jeg kjøper Dylo, når den billige er like god. Billig knapp suger pallet.
And ate a lot of vegan food, weird combinations of food. One time my plate actually looked like one of the artworks of Abe Dubin. Kan jeg spise mer?
Ja. Det er 2 pølser igjen, og bare spis.
Ja, takk skal du ha. When a traffic light goes red, the car driver gets so angry because he loses his flow. Skateboarders really learn how to lose our flow and deal with it and not be incredibly angry. But it teaches us patience. If we're always in the flow, we don't really experience boredom. I mean, landing the trick is one thing, but also dealing with failing a trick and having to turn your board from upside down to the right way and then push back, then go try once more, makes skaters so annoyed.
Men av og til bruker jeg faktisk hjelm når jeg er sånn skikkelig redd for et eller annet triks jeg gjør.
Når du skal øve inn nå?
Ja. Og så har jeg en refleks også. Hver gang jeg holder på langt på hodet, så har jeg hånda her.
Ja, for det er bakhodet ditt som er problemet. Sier jeg det at jeg ser på deg som en sånn voksen, og ut fra det, så er det dine signaler som kanskje kan bringe da den yngre verden ta på seg eldre.
Ja, siden det er en proffskater som kjører i gaten, og han har på seg hjelm hele tiden. Men han har møtt masse press, masse klaging på at han har hjelmen og sånn. Du får ikke noen sponsoravtalen siden du bruker hjelm.
Hva er hjelmen for på Sverige? Fake shit, du da.
Knut, du kan ikke si det. Gikk det bra?
Biggest wrong thing is Instagram and shit like get your first kickflip acknowledged by a few of your friends. Get your fucking dopamine, you know, dudes. Why not, boy? You ain't gonna need boards when you're still learning no slides and shit like that. Chase it if you got potential. You have to push yourself as well. I'm making money from you and you're supposed to, let's say, not lose money from me.
If everything of interest was included, the camera would always be on.
Han låt det bra til litt, og så sa han ok, kom og sett meg ned, og her sitter jeg.
Det er sånn man gjør det her.
Since I'm on the last train, I have few more hours to finish the documentary and I'll write down everything I have because the rule is no more content when you get home. You know, the last minutes, that's when you're the most effective.
Skateparken eller Dave Ansongs spot.
Og så har du 2 stykker som gjør de samme triksa. Hvem vinner? Da må du ned på sånn turning. De har sånn A-moment, B-moment, C-moment, D-moment.
Ja.
Og da må du si fra før konkurransen hva du skal gjøre.
If you go to Street League made the rules for their game. And when it comes to your skating and your tricks, you're creating for yourself the rules of your skating. For example, I created my rule is that don't step off the board for more than 1 second. Don't walk off the board more than 3 steps.
maybe 2 steps, sometimes I do 3. But those managers of the skaters then have other marketing managers who are very out of skating. Like, oh no, marketing says this, we will sell more of this.
Yeah.
I think it's fine to grow skating, but I think it will become very stale. Like, very similar, and it will be very competitive and very much of the same for a while. Like you will see that with the Olympics and street league, that all of the trick types are going to be the same because it is being inside of a specific rhythmic system. So creativity is removed from that. And if somebody does weird tricks that already exist, it's not creative.